What's up guys, this is Lynx. In this video I'm going to show you how to farm BRD Dark Coffer runs efficiently and quickly as a rogue. Rogues are pretty much the only class that can farm this, effectively that is. You know, it's kind of a burden to die over and over, and this is a sketchy farm that requires a lot of gear in my opinion. There's 5 different spawn locations for the Dark Keepers, and they spawn as you loot the open the portrait like I just did earlier in this video. Now, majority of the spawns are relatively easy to farm, although there's one spawn in particular that's very, very difficult to farm consistently. It definitely requires the gear I was talking about, as well as consumables, and I would recommend never skimping on this farm, as you're going to make a lot of gold in profit. Now let's get into it. Now this is a clip of me respecking from my combat raid spec to sub spec. Although you can do this farm as combat, I would highly recommend that you go sub spec if you're going to increase your gold per hour. There's a lot of sticky situations in this farm, including the dogs and just having to be really close to mobs to get around and maneuver, and I would recommend having camouflage and master deception to increase your chances of success. And of course, let's not discredit preparation. I think that conserving your vanishes is the most important thing while farming dark coffers in BRD. And having 2 of them is going to just increase your chances that much more to getting that burning essence that you're looking for. So in this clip, it's a worst case scenario, and like I said, saving your vanish is priority number 1. Although you don't always get dogs like the last clip I showed, this is worst case scenario. I get 2 dog spawns, I distract the first one there, and as you can see my vanish is on cooldown, and it's always a random spawn, so you never know exactly what you're going to find when you get into this instance. But no matter what, if you have a dog spawn right here in this area across the bridge, you have to kill it. This time I decided to conserve my preparation and kill all these non-elites, just to conserve my vanish. Like I said, it's priority number 1. And also, if you've never done BRD as a stealthy, these dogs have a very, very high stealth detection level, and that's why master deception and conserving vanish is very important. You cannot vanish if these dogs are up. Now, here's a very similar situation to the last clip. There's a double dog spawn, but it's a little bit more difficult. There's also an emissary, which is an elite caster mob here with the dog. Typically, I would highly recommend killing the dog, sprinting away, and vanishing out. But as I said, vanish is priority number 1, and if you think you have the gear and the consumables to save your vanish, like I do in this case, I would go ahead and do it, as it's going to save you 5 minutes in your clear time. Now, I talk about saving your vanish and clear times because to complete this clear successfully, you're going to have to vanish away from 2 different packs of mobs. One in the portrait room, and another at every Dark Keeper spawn, no matter which spawn it is, to loot the key and drop aggro. Now I'm going to mark as X here for a sap target. You always want to sap the bodyguards because they can stun you and ruin your evasion. So I sap that target and attack the emissary here. Like I said, the spawns are random in this instance when you come in, and you want to kill the mob closest to the portrait every time. So here's a West Garrison spawn, like we had in our first clip. Let's go into that one first. So the West Garrison spawn is located right next to General Anger on the way to the bar. I think it's very important to note, this is the 2nd most difficult keeper spawn you can get, but it's pretty easy to down as a decently geared rogue. The most crucial part in downing this keeper is that you sap the marshal. Oftentimes there's a double marshal spawn, and sometimes you'll have to blind that marshal to reduce the healing. Here, I wait for my energy to tick up, pop a cheap shot, evasion, and ghostly strike at the same time with a cold blood eviscerate to down the boss instantly. I use this clip as an example because I didn't save my sprint, and oftentimes vanish can bug with the days there, and I get a death here. Although dying in this game is never fun, regardless of the spawn, if you kill the keeper and get the dark coffer key, you're home free. That means you get to come back and loot the dark coffer. Although you can get loot, it's not guaranteed to be a burning essence, which is what we're looking for in this farm, and that's why I use this example. Next, we'll go over the second location, which is the Hall of Crafting Dark Keeper spawn. It's the second closest spawn to the vault, and one of the most easiest Dark Keepers to kill. In this example, I decided to try and see if I can kill it with almost no cooldowns. And typically, like I said with the dog, I would definitely recommend vanishing out after you kill these Dark Keepers and the dogs. As a WoW player, I think it's important to always keep improving. And since Vanish is such a priority, I like to push my boundaries and push my limits at all times to see where I can conserve Vanishes. The next location we'll go over is the Domicile Spawn. The spawn can be a little bit tricky as there are multiple dogs that spawn in the domicile, which can be very, very sketchy. Right here I distract one backwards. Just like the Hall of Crafting, it's a relatively easy spawn to kill. I would always try to sap one of the dark guards and just down the keeper. Again, you can always kick these spells if you're low on health and low on gear. Now again, it's important to conserve your Vanishes here, guys, and your cooldowns in general. This is a prime example. This is a more difficult spawn here, as I have to kill a bodyguard. With my gear it's relatively easy, but these targets have high armor and a chance to stun, which I've died here multiple times. In this instance I get the closest spawn, which is actually the vault spawn. As you can see, it spawns right here, so you want to re-stealth as quickly as possible and get ready for a fight. As you see, I sit in the corner and eat. This can be a pretty tricky spawn. You want to kill the mobs really closely to the vault, kind of right where I distracted them there. As you see, I let it pat back, because if you pull it too close to the boss, you'll definitely pull aggro and waste cooldowns. If you notice, my Vanish and my Cold Blood are down, but my evasion is up. I decided to hold my preparation in order to use my evasion and my Ghostly Strike and then reset them. As you see, I distract the whole pack there, wait for my energy to tick, evasion Ghostly, Cold Blood Eviscerate, and there you have it. Prep, Vanish, and I'm out. Now, like I said before, there's one spawn in particular that's very, very difficult in this farm, and that's the Grim Guzzler spawn. This spawn requires a lot of focus, and in my opinion, a lot of gear, and definitely at least one consumable. That might be free action pot, that could be Thistle Tea, or it could be a major health potion. In my opinion, your best bet to successfully kill this keeper in the Grim Guzzler is to use a free action pot. That's because you won't be dealing with just the adds around the Dark Keeper that normally spawn with each of them in all 5 locations, but you're also going to aggro all of the neutral mobs around the keeper in the Grim Guzzler. The elite adds in the Grim Guzzler have a chance to give you a 3-second stun, and as a rogue, when you're trying to dodge multiple melee targets with evasion, this will totally nullify all of your dodge percent chance and you'll die instantly. By using a free action pot, it allows you to not get stunned and keep on going. So right off the bat, I'll tell you, on this attempt, I decided to use a Thistle Tea as I was completely out of free action pots from earlier attempts. Now watch, as I start with a cheap shot, I decide to hold my evasion for a few seconds because the neutral adds take just a little bit to aggro compared to the guards. So here I pop evasion, Thistle Tea, get that Cold Blood Eviscerate, and vanish out. It's important to kill this as quickly as possible, as those adds are very, very difficult, and having that many adds on you at once can really, really mess up your day. Lastly, we'll talk about the final spawn that we haven't covered, which is the Arena Dark Keeper. Now, this spawn is relatively easy, but like the Grim Guzzler, you have to travel some distance to get there. So I'm going to use that time to talk about the nitty-gritty of this farm. One important thing to consider when farming Dark Coffer runs as a rogue is that there's definitely some time and gold investment involved in this farm. You're not only required to turn in 30 gold with the quest, but you need to have a Libram of Resilience on your character per turn-in, which usually runs between 20 to 40 gold depending on what server and what time you play. You're going to be marketing to main tanks and off tanks that require fire resistance in VWL and MC, so I'd recommend getting on top of the farm as soon as possible. This will allow you to capitalize on the current market of fresh 60s and tanks gearing for BWL and MC. I was recommended this farm strategy from Arlaeus, a streamer on Twitch and a YouTuber. I'll link his channel above. I hope this advice helps you as much as it helped me. Have a great day.